Hi, this is Art Benjamin. I am Manager of Diversity and Inclusion at an incredible credit union in San Diego County. Um, I am coming to you again with the videos Let's Talk Diversity. And I wanted to talk with you briefly about the 5 approaches that we see to diversity and inclusion, the 5 different approaches that can be taken as it relates to diversity and inclusion. And these 5 are competence, compliance, dignity, organizational development, and social justice. Again, that is competence, compliance, dignity, organizational development, and social justice. So as it relates to these are 5 completely different ways that organizations attempt to do the D&I work. And for me, of course, there's more than one answer for these 5. There's not just one of them that perfectly fits. I think there should be and can be a combination of all of these within your D&I work. But I want to briefly talk about each of these to help you get a clearer picture in case you're falling more into one than you are the others. And I think that in order to build a strong D&I work, or in order to really unpack the D&I efforts strategically, you really should have a component of all of these within your work at your credit union. So when it comes to competence, we're talking about improving skills, knowledge, and ability of the organization, improving the skills, knowledge, and ability of the organization. This approach focuses on increasing the competence of individuals and organizations to interact effectively in the context of many similarities and differences. Measures of success align with demonstrated competencies. There are a couple of terms that are sometimes used to describe this approach. It is accent perception and understanding, awareness, being an ally or a champion, bias reduction, cultural adaptation, cultural competence, cultural intelligence, D&I skills training, diversity of thought, effective behaviors, micro inequities, intersectionality, intercultural competence. These are a couple of different terms that we find used as a part of the competence approach to the diversity and inclusion work. Again, this is about expanding or improving the skills, knowledge, and ability of your organization. That's the competence approach. All right, there's the compliance approach, and many of us understand this approach because we're heavily regulated. So the compliance approach has to deal with complying with laws and regulations. Most organizational and societal entities have laws, rules, codes, guidelines, norms, and the like that indicate how people within and sometimes outside of these entities are expected and are required to behave. Terms sometimes used to describe this approach are affirmative action, anti-discrimination, employment equity, equality, human rights, pay equity, regulatory, or respectful workplace. These are a couple of terms that are used to describe this approach to the D&I work. Again, this is the compliance approach to the D&I work. Many D&I leaders believe that we should not have a compliance component of your D&I work at all. I actually differ. I believe that there should be some form of compliance awareness attached to your work, whether that's EEO, affirmative action tie-in, or some type of connection that ties it in and ties it all together in the work. So compliance is your second approach. Your third approach is dignity, affirming the value and interconnectedness of every person is dignity. This section includes secular and religious perspectives that recognize the value and worth of every human being and our interdependence. Terms that are used to describe this approach are abundance, awareness, compassion, connectedness, cultural humility, empathy, faith, ethics, generosity, forgiveness, interdependence, interconnection. These are all terms that are used to describe this approach to diversity and inclusion, the dignity approach. Let's look at our fourth approach. Organizational development. Everything's about development. Improving organizational performance. This approach is distinguished by the weighting of performance goals in determining which actions to take to optimize personal and organizational performance. Terms used when considering this approach is action research, business imperative, change management, competitive advantage, culture change, employer of choice, human capital utilization, innovation, learning organizations, leveraging diversity and differences, managing complexity, strategic diversity management, stakeholder value. All of these things are terms that are used to describe the approach of organizational development to your D&I work. And again, this is not to negate the fact that organizational development is an important part of this work. It astronomically is. It is incredibly important to what we do. And so it should be a vital part of your work. But when you take this approach, you make this approach almost the sole focus of your work, which means training and learning and development becomes your primary focus of your D&I work. Versus it being collaborative with other efforts to strengthen your work and to move it forward. The last approach that we have, again, there are 5 approaches. The last approach is social justice, treating people equitably and ethically. Treating people equitably and ethically. This approach is aimed at achieving justice and fairness, ultimately for everyone. Terms used when describing this approach is, again, anti-discrimination, community responsibility, economic empowerment, eliminating discrimination, fairness, income inequality, overcoming and dismantling oppression, pay equity, social cohesion, and social justice. These terms are used to describe this approach to diversity and inclusion. Now, let me reiterate the fact that I believe that as a part of your diversity and inclusion work, all 5 of these should have a focus and a imperative within your work. And I would say that each of them deserves equal approach to the work. And so there is, again, no one way to do this. It is important that you as a diversity leader sit down with your CEO and really talk about and unpack all 5 approaches and how you plan to integrate all 5 approaches within your strategic plan. This will strengthen your work. This will make your work holistic. This will make your work healthy. And this will allow you to build the best possible program within your organization that, again, reaches far and wide and impacts many or impacts much within your organization. Hope this helps. Thanks so much for listening again. If you have any questions, please feel free to continue to message me on LinkedIn. Hope this is helping someone think through their strategic plan. I'm getting some great feedback from the videos. Again, we'll see you next time.